Hey guys, NieR here. We've got the closed beta test for NieR Reincarnation, the global version. I unfortunately was not able to get in, but one of our writers, Iron Cane, he managed to get in, and he decided to record some early gameplay footage for you guys to see. This game came out, I think it was January, February this year in JP, and because it's Square Enix, we knew a global version was coming, but I didn't expect it to come this soon. With a closed beta test right now in late May, we should be able to see something come July, August, something along those lines. So here we are. First, a little bit of gameplay for you guys to see. It's very story driven, so take a look. The combat's fairly simple, but see what you guys think, and we'll catch you all at the end.
Hello everybody and welcome to 5-9's preview of NieR Reincarnation. My name is Iron Cane and I'm here with NieR Riot to give our first impressions and overall thoughts of what we've played so far. We'll be touching on Reincarnation's gameplay, story, presentation, and lastly, what we're most looking forward to when the game eventually releases. As always, make sure to like the video if you enjoy the content and let us know in the comments if you guys are excited to play NieR Reincarnation when it releases. And don't forget to subscribe to stay up to date for everything we do here at 5-9. That out of the way, let's get right into the preview. So, Gale, in terms of gameplay, how did you like NieR Reincarnation in that aspect?
Obviously, it's a very simple game. NOLAR and I obviously played the JP version when it first came out a couple of months ago, right? Since then, I don't think my feelings have changed too much on the game itself. You know, I've been talking about it on the 5-9 streams. I've been talking about it. We even made a video on it for the JP version on our personal thoughts, right? Just looking at it first, you know, no understanding of the English or the Japanese version and whatnot. The gameplay itself, to me, it adheres to, and it follows like what I want from a gacha game or a mobile game, and that's very casual, very straightforward. You know, you don't have to use more than 2 IQ to play the game, right? And that's the sort of games I like, because when I'm on the move, like if I'm on a bus or a plane, well, highly unlikely on a plane because gacha games obviously have to be online, but I mean, if you have Wi-Fi on the plane, sure, but if you're at the airport, you're traveling or whatever, right? You're gonna be wanting to, you know, play something that's quick, pick up, you know, play a bit, move on. It's why games like Dokkan do so well, just generally, you know, compared to say Legends. NieR Reincarnation does follow that same, you know, status where you can leave it on auto, it'll do the things for you. Obviously, the auto isn't going to be like super smart, so if you're doing more challenging pieces of content or harder difficulties, you're gonna have to pay a bit of attention yourself. But still, it doesn't require you to like 200 IQ pro moves or anything of that sort. It's very straightforward. It's not flashy whatsoever, straightforward. The animations are pretty solid overall. Like I said, it's not great, overly flashy, but it's still strong 3D models as well. Another thing I really do like about it as well is that it's not too in-depth. That's the biggest thing for me personally. Yeah,
I guess for me, I'm kind of on the opposite spectrum of that. I thought it was almost too basic, but I can see how people like that. For me personally, like if we have B-roll playing of the game, you'll just see me running in auto and I can't just let the game do its thing. Of course, the game has a color wheel in a sense. There's a fire element, a water element, a wind element, and then a light and dark, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. So you have your basic advantages and disadvantages over certain enemies, which is cool. So there's some, obviously, strategy to play. You can't just like go in guns blazing, like you'll get messed up. There actually were some times, like at the very beginning of the game, I was just blazing through it. Yep. Like I was just selecting characters and just going through, not even thinking. But eventually, there was a difficulty spike, I think, actually, after they gave the tutorial of upgrading weapons and characters. I noticed the difficulty increased after that. Yeah. But yeah, I think the moves are cool to look at. I actually enjoyed looking at them. I ran in auto, put it speed. I kind of just chilled out and relaxed. Yeah. I don't think it's the most, you know, I don't think you'll be sweating playing this. It seems very casual, like you were mentioning before. You're kind of just watching things happen, but it's still like you have to think a little bit. There's still some strategy before you go in there. Like you need to make sure you have the right weapons to have the right elements, because certain elements are tied to certain weapons. And then you have these little characters, I forget what they're called. Like I have like these little bears flying around me that like say for example, if you don't have a fire element or a blue element, those little characters can come in there and deal some extra damage and extend your combo, which is actually I feel like it's a vital thing in this game.
Yes, definitely.
Combos can go up to 200%, and you can deal a lot of damage. So if there is what I learned from the game, or just watching the CPUs kind of just go out in auto, is that you want to extend the combo for as much as you can and combine abilities, and then like end off with the supers and deal like crazy amounts of damage. Moving on, we have the story, and NieR Reincarnation actually, believe it or not, even though it's a mobile title, it actually is supposed to be a direct sequel to NieR Automata and NieR Replicant. And so far, for me playing it, I imagine Gil, for playing it through JP, were you able to determine how it was connected at all, or you weren't really able to do that?
It was a lot harder in terms of the JP version, of course, because it's a completely different language. Even though I know some of the language, it's not like I'm not on like Goresh's or Talon's level, or you know, the people who have actually visited Japan, you know, studied it, you know, have gone through books and stuff. I obviously have a bare minimum understanding over my like 9 years of watching anime and doing some studying of my own, but not too much of it, unfortunately. But I did get some of it, of course. Of course, the whole idea from what I gather was that you were basically unlocking memories using the scarecrows, right? Yeah. And you'd fight weapons or fight enemies, sorry, from the previous games, basically, from what I gather, right? And they were called weapon stories, if I'm not mistaken, right? I'm not sure if that's what they're called in the English version as well. But you would be able to experience the memories in that side-scrolling like platform thing that you would do. Like you could move the characters left and right. You'd just basically experience the memories of those weapons. That was pretty much what I gathered and assumed it was right. But yeah, like the biggest thing with NieR Reincarnation is that it is definitely a story-driven gacha. I mean, it's pretty obvious. Like, it's made by Yoko Taro. It's following the NieR games, right? It's a sequel to them, so it's of course gonna have story in it. It's not gonna be like a Dokkan where you can skip the story, or you know, some style of those games. So you have to kind of understand the story. If you're interested in it, there is a story for you to get involved with. And again, that's a thumbs up from me, because story-driven gachas means good things for me personally.
Yeah, I really like the story, and you actually weren't too far off. Basically, you play as a little girl. I don't know if she is named, but you have this little ghost called Mama that follows you, and you basically explore this area called the Cage, where you nail it on the head. You go to these black things called scarecrows, where you basically you get the story of weapons. Like, if you ever played NieR Replicant or NieR Automata, you'll know when you upgrade weapons, there'll be like little stories about each weapon. And that's basically what you're getting here in the mobile game. You're playing the stories, which is interesting. So it'll be nice to see. I'm not like a hardcore NieR fan, so I don't know if I recognize any of the weapon names, but they might include some weapons, some iconic weapons from the NieR series. Where you actually get to play the story that people have read in the past, but then they actually get to experience it like firsthand. I think it's really cool. The story is really neat. Characters actually meet up. So like, I remember there's one point I was playing as this woman, and I was playing as a cowboy with this boy, and they actually met up. And I don't want to spoil how it ended, but it was pretty cool with the way they tie things together. Like, the stories actually do connect in some way. It wasn't always the case, but the stories actually do connect, and it's interesting. And I felt like I actually was kind of excited to see how some of the stories ended. So I feel like this game definitely shines the most, I'd say, in its story for sure. Moving on from there, we have presentation, graphics, music, and like the overall feel of the game. How the graphics and music come off to you, Gil?
Yeah, so of course, one thing to note is, I don't know if you tried it, of course, Iron, but when the JP version came out, Nolar and I did try and put it on our PC first. We tried using it via emulator. It said no. So I don't know if you've tried it yourself, but I'm gonna safely assume it doesn't work on emulators. But I did put it on my phone, which is a OnePlus 6, of course, so it's a 2017 phone, 2017-ish, 2017, 2018 phone. It ran well, in my opinion. I didn't have really a lot of issues at all. I think I was running it at the default settings, which were like I would assume at the middle point. So it was completely fine. The atmosphere is great of the game, like it gives you that feel you're in this world. The graphics, as I said, were solid even at middle settings. I never had any issues with chugging. Of course, I would connect my phone to my PC if I had to record any footage from the JP version, and I never encountered any like stutters or anything of that sort. It was pretty smooth sailing for me personally. In terms of the music, I will say like it's not just NieR, but a lot of gachas and developers have been focusing on making sure the music is like top tier, and I really appreciate it because it's so good to hear good music in games, right? And even if it's a mobile game, right, it's so nice to actually hear good music. Genshin's done it with their orchestral music. They've performed in London to get the music, of course. Now NieR as well, they've done a fantastic job. Really a joy to hear. And I'm looking forward to seeing their events because, of course, on JP we had the NieR Automata event initially just off jump, and of course I don't think, Iron, you guys had that in your beta, right? So I'm looking forward to seeing more and more of these events. I know they did something with NieR Replicant recently, of course, from what I gather from their Twitter, because of course the game just came out, right? The remake. Definitely I'm looking forward to playing those events and listening to the music in the game itself. It's going to be very exciting. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a big thing because NieR has really beloved characters. I think Automata was the point where NieR like really took off and had a lot of success. So people are definitely going to be very excited to play characters like 2B, 9S, and
A2.
A2, right?
Yes,
yeah,
A2.
Yeah, and I imagine they would bring the music over, right? Did when you played on JP, did you hear any of Automata music?
I felt from what I heard, and it's been a while, so I could be remembering wrong. I want to say there was somewhat of I wouldn't necessarily say well, I mean, I guess it's a remix because there were some slight changes, obviously to accommodate for the fact that it's on a phone rather than an actual game, right? There were slight changes to it, but I think for the most part they did bring some of the music over to the game, yes.
Yeah, I think so far on JP they've had a crossover with Automata, Replicant, and I think most recently they did Drakengard 3. So I imagine all Yoko Taro games they'll eventually get around to.
Yeah, but, I definitely think they'll also do something with, considering it's a Yoko Taro game, they'll do something with Sino Alice at some point as well. So I would expect that for sure, because obviously Sino Alice has gotten NieR collaborations already, so I wouldn't be surprised if Reincarnation also just joins in on the party, and Reincarnation will get something from Sino Alice in terms of like the Disney princess based characters.
Yeah, and according to Yoko Taro, every crossover, every NieR thing that has ever been done is canon, so
yeah.
It's funny.
Definitely.
But yeah, for me, the graphics, unfortunately for me, I was playing on a Galaxy S8 Plus, and for me, it actually was chugging a good bit. You might see it in some of the footage we have playing here. I tried running it on the highest settings, and I didn't realize how slow the game was, because when I switched it to like medium to low settings, like the little girl was like, she was flying, like she was running pretty quickly. While I was playing it on high, she was like walking in slow motion. So it could be the beta, maybe it's not as optimized as it could be for like older devices, or it just, the game is very, I would say the graphics are very, I don't want to say intensive, but they are very pretty. And especially when you're in those story scenes, it's very stylized. It takes its time. It lets you like suck in like all the story, all the visuals, the atmosphere. The graphics is, I would say, the strongest points of this game is definitely story followed by the presentation, in my opinion.
Gotcha, yeah.
It's very good, and the music, like Gail was saying, is very good as well. I like to see that mobile games are pushing the boundary in terms of the music. It's cool because it's just console games and PC games aren't the only games always need music. Music always helps push a game's atmosphere, and it's cool to see that this game is setting the bar there. Now that we're over our 3 points, basically just gonna give our overall thoughts to the game. So yeah, when this game actually drops, do you think that you'll be playing it? Are you actually gonna spend money on the game? And how long do you see yourself playing it when it releases?
I don't see myself spending on the game, to be honest. I've kind of regressed from that. I mean, the only gachas I really spend money on are pretty much Genshin at this point. But in terms of actually playing it, yeah, of course, I'm gonna try and play it. Of course, that's me, like in a nutshell. I'm basically mini NOLAR. If in that, I'll try out a gacha if I can. I'm not gonna play every gacha out there, but I'm gonna try my best to play as many gachas as I can that I do know of and I know the obviously brand of, and I think it looks interesting. And yeah, the JP has already pulled me in. It's just that, of course, the story side was the reason why I kind of just, you know, stopped playing it for the most part. So yeah, it's definitely going to be very, very interesting to me, and I'm very much looking forward to playing it. In terms of how long I'm going to play it, depends on how well the company does in terms of actually, you know, carrying it forward, right?
Yeah. And speaking of the developer, Applebot, they're also working on other games like Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis, which is going to be a big game. From what I understand, it's basically the most faithful remaster of the original Final Fantasy VII. From what I understand, like some people, hardcore fans of the original, aren't too keen on the remake and its changes, but I think Ever Crisis will be a lot more faithful, and they're going to add characters like Zack and stuff like that. So it'll be interesting to see how they'll pull off. So it seems like Applebot has a really good relationship with Square Enix. Like they're covering big names like, you know, Final Fantasy VII and NieR with NieR Reincarnation. Besides that, they've also worked on Seven's Code. Have you have any opinions on that game, Gail, or just like the developer in general? I mean,
as much as I play a lot of rhythm gacha games like Bang Dream and Love Live and stuff like that, but I haven't tried Seven's Code. I do know of it. I've heard about it. I've seen some stuff of it. It's based on, of course, it's a rhythm-based gacha game. You know, the usual stuff. It's cool. The music itself in that is okay, but you know, I'm not gonna complain about it. It's a rhythm-based gacha game, right? I can't say too much about it. Overall, the game itself is good, but of course, there's no real connection to the other games, and it's a completely different genre, right?
Yeah, so for me and my thoughts of the game, I really enjoyed it. The beta was actually surprisingly very long. I was surprised with how much they actually allowed people to play in the beta. I think they let you go all the way up to chapter 4, so you got through a lot of stories. I believe there was like at least 3 scarecrows, if not more, per chapter. So you got to see a lot of stories of a lot of characters in the game. And I don't know if I think the characters that you played with are original characters, like the cowboy I was talking about, and like the girl. I don't know their official names on the top of my head, but I thought their stories were interesting. So I'm curious to see how they progress. And beyond that, I would recommend people to play NieR Automata and Replicant if you haven't already, because like I previously mentioned, that this game is a direct sequel to those 2 games. And if you never played NieR, it's basically, the games are set in like a dystopian setting. NieR Automata is more like cyberpunky, androids versus robots. Replicant, it's interesting. I can't even get too into it because it's like spoilers. But I feel like what this game is going to do is going to tell how the androids came to be, and how characters in Replicant came to be. That's what I'm gathering. But we'll just have to wait and see when the game eventually releases. From what I can tell, Reincarnation, it's got a great story. The graphics and visuals and the music is really solid. For me, I just thought the gameplay was a little lacking, but it was still a good experience overall. There's also this really cool mini game they had. It's like not necessarily a daily, but I think every hour or 8 hours it resets. It's like a shoot 'em up type of thing where you like play this little ship, you shoot these little squares, you get some bonuses. I thought that was fun. I would hope that maybe down the line they would have like some like practice mode where you could just play, because I thought that was like very, very fun, just something to, you know, waste your time, just like blow off some steam when you're like done battling in the game. But that's about it. Those are our thoughts of NieR Reincarnation and what we thought of it so far. Let us know in the comments if you agree with our thoughts and if you think you'll pick up the game when it drops. And if you made it this far, why not leave the video a like? If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to 5-9 Gaming, because we'll have a full review on Reincarnation when it eventually releases that you will not want to miss. This is Iron Kane signing out. Gail, any last words?
No, hopefully you all have a lovely rest of your day or week, depending on where you're at. And yeah, we'll catch you in the next one.
And that's the gameplay, guys. Let us know down below if you enjoyed that, if you're looking forward to it, and you're hoping it comes sooner rather than later, or do you think there needs to be more polish to it? In any case, follow us here on 5-9 Gaming to catch up on anything related to NieR Reincarnation. So hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, hit that notification bell so you know when we go live with videos, and we'll all catch you next time. We're out.